And Coulter, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Mark Simone?
Well, I'm good, but you've been watching what's going on in New York City. What the hell is happening? It's becoming a war zone. Crime is back. It's like the 70s all over again here. What are we going to do?
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that. I don't know if you follow these people on Twitter. You can follow specific precincts in New York and get lots of videos. I was following one last night and saw that the Chanel store at 67th and Madison. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's unbelievable. No, the windows were smashed in. I mean, these are the safest areas of New York City. And I appeal to you, Mark Simone. We're going to have to take out Mr. and Mrs. Ray Kelly and make sure he runs for mayor. I know it's a large undertaking, but New York City is the most important city in the world, and wow, it's going under fast.
Well, the only problem is that he'd be a great mayor, but that's a year and a half. What do we do for a year and a half?
Well, we did live for... I say we. I was out in New Canaan, but for 20 years under Mayor Koch and Mayor Dinkins.
Okay, but you were on the rough streets of New Canaan there. I was trying to survive, but and that
yeah,
Chanel store.
The city survived. It came back. I mean, that's why I think. Look, maybe there's somebody else like Ray Kelly. I can't think of him. But that's
a lot of people like John Katsimatidis, that's one candidate, but Ray Kelly, I think we need him like tomorrow.
Yeah, we do. And the reason I think it's not like you. Whenever I meet Republican candidates running in New York at the Metropolitan Republican Club, it's on the Upper East Side. They have lovely events, and you'll often meet somebody. I'm running against Carolyn McCarthy, and I'm always polite to them, but I ask them why. What is the point? Oh, I'm running against Cuomo. You're in New York State, you're going to lose. Okay, that isn't the case. This isn't some, suicide statement run where a Republican can never, ever possibly win because New Yorkers, well, for one thing, you have all the media and the Wall Street people who live there, but we can't be fooled anymore. For 20 years, New York City was called the ungovernable city. No one could do it. And Koch kind of fooled people. I mean, he was a lot like Trump this way. He talked a good game. He'd say, I hope that reporter gets mugged. And, he acted like he did the equivalent of tweeting law and order, but never actually did anything. So the crime got worse and worse and worse. Okay, it was much worse under David Dinkins. And then Giuliani comes in, brings in Bill Bratton, and immediately crime starts to plummet. And it keeps plummeting year after year after year. Through various, the computer system, through stop and frisk, through taking crime seriously. Now New Yorkers know this is not an ungovernable city. It depends entirely on whom the mayor is. And I'm telling you, the most left-wing Upper West Sider may come out and say, oh, darn that Ray Kelly. But when they go into the private voting booth, they're voting for him to bring back safety to New York. You can't have anything if you don't have safety. You can't have life if you don't have safety. And New Yorkers lived through it for 20 years, saw this miraculous transformation, a decent candidate on Law and Order, who can talk and is presentable and doesn't say insane things, but we know he's serious. And by the way, they're not going to be... Ray Kelly was police commissioner under David Dinkins. You're not going to turn this into some sort of race-baiting campaign. I mean, maybe you can come up with somebody else, but I think we really may have to kidnap Ray Kelly until he can run for mayor.
Perfect. What about Andrew Cuomo? He's not that stupid. He's not that... he's a practical guy politically. Why isn't he thinking to himself, I'm going to get blamed for this too? I got to go down there and get him to fix this. Well, why doesn't he step in and do something?
It's an unfortunate thing about Democrats. They can get away with wrecking a state, wrecking a city, wrecking a country, because the media is so in their side. It can change what what people know and what they think. I mean, people listening to your program, my guess is, are pretty hip to the issues. But a lot of people out there, and I mean, you've seen the opinion polls, it's stunning. There was an article saying, I saw late last night saying, turns out we didn't need to do the shutdown. The details, the facts don't really matter, but I was about to tweet back that, no, we only needed to quarantine Governor Cuomo. I mean, he single-handedly is responsible for more COVID deaths than any other human by we're not going to allow nursing homes to discriminate. We have a non-discrimination. This discrimination business has gotten out of control. When you're not discriminating against COVID patients, you're sending back into nursing homes. That really was the big problem. And yet, and still, you turn around and you see public opinion polls, and all the ladies, they love Cuomo. He's talking about his meatballs.
Well, hey, I keep recommending this book because Demonic, your book Demonic, really breaks down the psychology of a mob, how to deal with a mob, rioting, mobs, all revolution.
And the true story of the French Revolution, which is really, really stunning. You will not have learned it. I was a history major at Cornell, and I didn't learn it there because liberals want to hide it from you. And it's stunning. It's spectacular. I mean, they were ripping down the revolutionaries before they were all guillotined themselves. What they did to Notre Dame Cathedral, ripping down all of the crosses and replacing them with, profane elements. They called the altar of reason, and marched a prostitute down the aisle to the altar. And besides just the incessant bloodletting, which ultimately leads to Robespierre being guillotined. There's a reason liberals don't want you to read about the French Revolution. It is the beginning of mobs taking over a country. It happened in Cambodia, it happened in Russia, it happened in Venezuela, and it looks like it's happening in our country now.
But why would the mob care about stupid little symbolic nothing things like a statue or renaming a street? Why wouldn't they focus on real change and important things?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. It's explained by Gustave Le Bon, the discoverer and describer of groupthink and mobs. It's like a mob loses its sense of rationality, and it's like dealing with a child. Images is what they like, and you plant a tiny rumor, and suddenly it grows into this huge fear of something. I mean, they had Marie Antoinette beaten, her husband killed, his head paraded past her best friend, same thing. They cut off her best friend's genitalia, her breasts, her head, paraded them around Paris. The queen is on death's door. Her son's been taken from her, and when they wheel her to the guillotine, the crowd is jeering and cheering, and we must kill the princess, as if she was some major threat to their lives. But I mean, it's sick, it's horrible. But yes, this is absolutely typical mob behavior.
Well, we can get this book, right? Demonic, it's still available?
It's not only available, it's available on audio too, and it does explain everything going on right now. One of these days, maybe when I want to take a week off, I'll summarize some of the highlights.
Yeah, you should. So if you want to understand the mob and how to deal with it, it's Ann Coulter's book, Demonic. And, of course, you can get our latest book and all our other books. And the new column comes out tonight?
Yes, it does, Mark Simone.
Oh, good. You go to AnnCoulter.com. A lot of new stuff on our website, AnnCoulter.com. And make sure you follow her on Twitter, because she is tweeting all day and night, Ann Coulter at Twitter, and get her books. Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark Simone. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.
We will make America great again.